House of Dragons, the final episode of season 1, the greens versus the blacks. Spoilers just in case. Let's go. Welcome back to AsArt. My name is Nick and I have Britt here with me. Go to Instagram, cha.cha.cherry, and you can see all of her awesome photography artwork. Go there, check it out. So we've been covering this series. I've had Kyle on, I've had Britt on, and we really like House of the Dragons. And you can watch over other content we've done on it. But now we're here to talk about the season finale. Overall, Game of Thrones always delivers for the most part on their season finales, except for the last couple seasons of Game of Thrones, which are kind of like, oh, you don't like to talk about them. But this totally delivered for a first season. Gosh.
I'm excited. I think it's awesome.
It's
very,
so
very, very,
good.
very, very, very happy with it. I think whether you're new to Game of Thrones, whether you just saw, one episode of House of the Dragon, like it's very, very, very exciting.
Yeah. And they dealt with time jumps for most of the season, has been major time jumps. These last couple episodes was nice to have like 1, 2, 3, like back to back to back. No major time jumps, just kind of in it. And last episode, we got just the whole green party trying to, take the throne and all that stuff. And now we got just Team Black. And it's just like, wow.
Why do you call them black? I think they're more red.
Well, that's what they're called. So you have Team Green, which is like Hightower, and then Rhaenyra is all Team Black. That's what they call themselves in the book. It's green versus the blacks.
I think they're more red, but yes.
But gosh, okay, there's so much to go over. First of all, she gets the news, the message gets delivered, and then she has to deliver a baby because of the pain. It's so much she has to deal with. And just, I can't imagine. That's just so intense, that whole sequence.
Well, isn't that I feel like it's a little bit of a play on of Khaleesi's, right? If you go back to the original Game of Thrones, there's this major birth sequence of the dragons and what's going down. And then you see, Rhaenyra in a similar situation.
Okay, hold on. Big difference though. It was because of blood magic, dark magic, and she basically had to sacrifice a life for the life of the dragons. That's why Khaleesi's did it, right? That was the whole point, right? The black magic. And she lost her child, but she gained 3. And it's very interesting too, because that same.
Khaleesi's at all?
Well, so. This is before Khaleesi's, so this would be like...
Well, I'm talking like cinema. So if you're into Game of Thrones, you're probably watching this show.
What's very interesting is it's caused by the stress and like overwhelming like betrayal that happens, right? Because like when we last left her, she was on the same page as Alicent, like they're friends now, right? It was like, oh, cool, hey, this is great. We totally support you being queen. Everything was all good and dandy until, they gave King Viserys the milk of the poppy before he goes to bed. And then he gets all loopy and he continues his conversation, which just brings this whole thing into oh my gosh. But it sucks because that was a daughter and that would have been her first daughter. Which is crazy because she's only had boys this whole time.
Well, miscarriages are a thing in Game of Thrones.
Yeah. But it's just, that's so intense to have to do that. And then you have to prepare for war. Just like, that's so intense, right?
Okay, what I thought was really cool about this entire thing is, let's go back to the beginning. I thought the way that they opened it too with like the map and that was different. I was like, so this is kind of an interesting intro. Like I like that. I see what you guys are getting at. I think that's super cool. And
then the map, like their battle plan map, the table, which is very interesting because they light fires to put underneath the table, which like glows the map up kind of thing, which is very interesting because it's almost like if dragon fire was going to be spilled on the land, like burning the land because of the battles of the dragons. So it's just like very cool. That's how I kind of saw it. I was like, oh man, this is so crazy because obviously they have dragon power. And so it's like dragons versus dragons. So it's going to be hot.
I thought it was a little bit intense how they were opened up with so much duty. Like, you just
Mm,
know everything that's going to follow through with this episode is going to be like, oh, you have to do this. So everybody's now driven by this idea of this ultimatum of I have to complete something,
mm,
which
mm-hmm.
I thought was like, oh, this is gonna suck because you're gonna get Damien with like, I have this I have to do, and
Yeah.
Rhaenyra's like, I have to do this, and then you have all the different characters now having this idea of, okay, now we all have a cause that we have to accomplish in our own rights,
Mm.
which is just brewing of war.
Yeah. And
All of this is just like just a cauldron of war.
she's really holding the actual peace as much as possible.
Okay,
At first.
technically, it is hers to take, though, right?
Yeah, but then I think she's remembering her father, right? Because her father's been known for the peaceful, right? And it's also very interesting too because they label him as King Aegon or no, what no, the kid that was crowned. I get so confused with all the Targaryen names.
Egon, Aragorn.
Yeah. So
Aragorn.
They gave him like the conqueror's crown and like the conqueror's sword, and where she has her dad's old crown, Viserys's old crown, which is like the peaceful crown. But so it's very interesting. They're setting up like, hey, the Greens are going to be like, we're conquerors. This is ours, and she's trying to go the peaceful route, which is they're trying to tie back into the prophecy of ice and fire. It's more about really protecting the realm and stuff.
You know what that was cooler? The yellow sky behind them that was muted with the color tone on his shadows. That was a sick, beautiful. See, I don't like him. I do not like the hat. Like, I just don't like him. But that scene,
Otto Hightower,
that was gorgeous. That was gorgeous on the wall. And doing that, oh my gosh, that just I felt like they shot that with the Hasselblad.
Yeah.
It was so pretty.
It was also a trip. I think it goes back to episode 2. Remember when Otto Hightower has to get the egg back from Daemon, and they're on the same path? But she flew in to get the egg back last time. So it was almost very interesting where it kind of lands the same way. And it's kind of like, they do such a good job with this show. With this,
I was going to wear something today, but then you told me about death, so I didn't want to wear it. But it was Halloween, and I was going to wear a skeleton thing, and then I was like, because then I saw nobody wants to see a dragon die.
Or humans.
But nobody wants to see a dragon die.
No, that was very intense. Yes, we can talk about the scale of the different dragons.
That was a bummer.
As soon as kid landed,
not fair.
You just had bad
game.
I mean, this kid lands on his little tiny dragon. He like lands on the dragon, and then over the castle. This.
But then again, like, Rhaenyra, what were you thinking?
Well, she didn't know that he was going to be there. Yeah. Aemon was there, right? Because the idea was like he's just going to deliver a message. And I like the way it was played off. Like they really didn't have control of their dragons. Like at first, I don't think Aemon wanted to kill him. I think it was just more towing with him, right? And there's even a moment too, like after the dragon eats the kid, you see it in his eye, like, oh crap, I messed up. This was not supposed to happen. Because you even hear them like, listen to me, obey me, like because once the dragons started like. Once they were chasing each other, the dragons were already in it. Like it was like nothing the humans can do to stop it, kind of thing. And,
that sounds like a cat fight.
but they're on giant scales, like massive scales of like. But gosh, the way that whole sequence was shot in the Stormlands too at cool. Storm's End was beautiful. I
felt like out of all the episodes, there was so much cinematography in this one that was so pretty.
Well, yeah, I guess because the last couple this one
was pretty.
There was one episode where we were watching the king die in a chair the whole episode, which was amazing, by the way. Like he did such a good job, but obviously it's not cinematic like dragons flying and you get the aerial views of the castles and all that stuff. And Dragonstone looked sick when he was when Daemon was like testing the Kingsguard's loyalty, and you saw like just beautiful. Like it looked so good.
So everything was so intense. I think building up to that, I feel like we have to kind of travel back a little bit on just Rhaenyra stepping up on she's been kind of hiding. You don't know where she's at. She's doing her own thing, not going according to what her daddy wants or anybody else, and she disappears. Now this happens, and everybody wants to know, hey, what are you gonna do?
Yeah.
So now she's stepping up, and her new baby daddy don't like it.
Damon, gosh. Well, and I think it goes to show why Viserys never wanted to give the throne to Daemon too, because he's like a wild card, right?
No, nobody wants him in charge, but
and I think
but
we
you
forget,
have
like,
to be scared of him a little bit. You have to have some respect and fear.
I mean, yes, we're growing to like his character on the show, but it's like, and in the long run, we know he's a bad guy. Well, he's not like a bad guy, but his intentions aren't always.
Would you relate him to Loki?
I don't know if I would relate him to Loki, but I can relate him to an idea like, I don't know, just like, that's why I think like a wild card where his own agenda is his, but he does care for family. Like, family's always first in his, like, and you can see that, like, he even defends his kids.
Do you think they were meant to be together?
I just think it worked that way for power.
Do you think that, like, Rhaenyra and Daemon were like soulmates?
It's creepy. No, I don't know. I can't get over the uncle and the aunts. It's just that scene when he was basically choking her was just like very intense. And it was also intense too, because it was obvious he was not the right choice to rule, because he didn't even know the prophecy. Like, he wasn't close to his brother.
Isn't she the one that does, her and her dad?
Well, yeah, because she's the one that the dad wanted to give the throne to.
So yeah, why?
Well, she in her head, she only knows because her dad only told her, but she doesn't know if her dad told anyone. So at that moment, it's like 100% confirmation for her that she deserves this ruling position. You know what I mean? Because it's like the secret that the dad kept to himself until his grave, and even though he did kind of splattered it at the end, even though he wasn't like 100% cohesive on his deathbed, but
100% human,
but like,
half of it,
you know what I mean? So it kind of like, she's like, oh, that to her, that's like, oh, I do have the right to rule, kind of thing, which is intense, because she's looking for validation. You know what I mean? Like, even though she is very confident that it is her kingdom and stuff.
Oh, I thought that was super lame when Rhaenyra got the message from what happened. It's like, that's your friend.
From
gosh, that's
from Alicent.
A gnarly dude to receive from your friends. The way that she composed herself, that was super bad. I was like, okay, cool. You guys are now competing as queens, and obviously a big cat fight is about
which will cause so many lives.
A very, very big cat fight.
Gosh, yes. I don't even, the toll that the Civil War has on the House Targaryen. Yeah, it's going to be freaking insane. And I'm bummed we didn't get to see the North them go to the Starks to ask for aid, which will be season 2 probably, because she sent both of her sons different ways. We only followed the one that perished, but
you knew one of those kids were gonna die. Like, it was pretty obvious. Like, one of her sons were not going to survive. They're not as mean, they're not as brutal, and they put themselves in like the line of fire and everything that they do. Yeah,
I'm not gonna spoil all the different people that die in the Civil War.
Some people just have targets on the back of their heads.
A lot of people are going to die. Yeah. A lot of people are going to die.
I think it's cute that Rhaenyra tried to be admirable through a lot of it.
No, and that shows that she's trying to fulfill her father's wishes of peace. Because like even at the dinner table, he wanted just that like peace between the family. Even it's just like he wanted to have dinner with the family. He just wanted everyone to love each other. It's just like as soon as he left,
Christmas for one last time.
And then as soon as he left the room, oh, it's like, to the strong boys. It's like, my gosh, poor guy, huh? He had such a rough life.
Well, and then like it was It was kind of How to Train Your Dragon. You have a big dragon coming after a little dragon. So
Mm,
that scene really reminded me of that.
mm,
Just how people were connected with their dragons in this one. And we're seeing so many dragons go down, which is
so
like,
many.
how many dragons are out there?
I think there's like 15 right now.
Okay.
Total
In
dragons,
total.
but we're really going to be left with maybe like spoilers. If you don't want to hear the spoilers, but we'll be probably left with okay, here it comes. We'll probably be left with 2 at the end of this civil war. Like dragons are going to be falling from the sky quite literally, and it's going to get
Instead of
freaking
like
intense.
Cloudy with a Chance of Meatballs, it's
It's cloudy with the chance of dragons, dragon heads and wings falling down, torched from the sky. It's going to be very brutal, but which gets me excited because we get to see the fall of the Targaryen house, right?
Or
And
the revenge.
Well, yes, but basically the fall though, because it's destroying themselves. It's a civil war between the house. You know what I mean? So it's like they literally are killing themselves, and the reason why they even have power in the first place is because of their dragons, right? So we get to see.
You of Icarus?
You're flying too close to the sun, you're going to get burned.
Yeah, like hey, like here's some wings. I'll give you some wax, but if you fly too close, and then he died.
Yeah. So you're saying that Targaryens are flying too close to dragons?
Yeah, isn't that the whole idea of power?
Well, yeah, but I guess it's like the greed of the family to like have power. Yeah, it's the throne, right? It's this throne everyone wants, and it's even shown so well in Game of Thrones too. What people will do to get the Iron Throne, and it's going to be very exciting. I've heard from rumors it's the reason why it's called House of Dragons and not Fire and Blood, which is what this Civil War is based off a book called Fire and Blood. It's because they're going to do the Targaryen house all the way up to Game of Thrones. So it's going to go all the way to the Mad King. So we'll see the Blackfire Rebellion, which is like the another major thing. So I'm actually super excited to kind of get a history lesson leading to Game of Thrones. So, gosh, it's so nice to have good not sci-fi, but fantasy.
Just a fun show. Just a
Yeah.
cool show to watch. Yeah.
Writing's good. Acting's freaking good.
Everything's on point.
The visuals are great. The pacing is fantastic. Watching a man slowly die in a chair was amazing. I don't know if it just like so much fun to watch.
Too, Game of Thrones had such a good run, and then they gave a good amount of time of not doing anything to then introducing this whole series.
Yeah.
Like you guys had the perfect dip of, hey, we miss you. So anything that you come out with, we're just kind of stoked with. And then you delivered.
So we had people like that, but also people very hesitant because of the last couple seasons of Game of Thrones. Because you know that
base is still there.
But
Everyone
that was a really bad scar though, right? Like people are not happy with, especially the last season, but the last couple seasons, there was just stuff that was like, what? That's not the Game of Thrones we know. Like it's funny because I went back and I started rewatching Game of Thrones the last couple seasons, and there's stuff with Jon Snow when it's like the way he survives the battle with like when they go behind the wall with the army of the dead and the guy runs. I'm just like, oh my gosh, this is so bad. Like this is not what and then the last season was just like, what?
The first season's jousting.
And it's so good because the writing's there. And we're totally connected to characters and stuff like that. And this season did it too. They hit it out of the park. Amazing. They dealt with time jumps like no one's business. And there was another fantasy show out there. I'm not going to mention the name of it. It was also a prequel to another amazing series. But I'm just saying it's crazy that these were at the same time. They're both prequels to the stories that we know and love, and it's just amazing how one dealt with it.
Shout out to how we just need original stories.
And also,
hey, Game of Thrones again.
But
that other
also
story
too,
again.
Yeah, House of Dragon though, to their point, they did have George R.R. Martin writing episodes and highly involved in the process. So the creator of the works is also really involved.
We like it.
Yeah. Anyways, let us know down below if you liked the final episode, what you thought about it. Were you happy to be here for the ride? Were you happy to be back in Westeros? Do you miss the Ice King? Let me know.
Are you gonna miss it just
the
in
Night
general,
King.
I'm
Oops,
going
the
to. I'm
Ice King.
sad it's ending. I
I
want
know,
one
but
more.
season 2, it's on its way, so I'm super excited. HBO always does high quality stuff, especially when it comes to Game of Thrones stuff. So super excited. The numbers were so good for this show, so they're definitely going to be making more Game of Thrones. So we'll see you. Oh, follow cha.cha.cherry on Instagram. She's an amazing photographer. Go check out her stuff. And if you go to asart.space, you can get our dragon shirt, which Kyle designed. It's super, super talented artist. And we have other fun shirts on there too. We cover tons of other shows from Lord of the Rings, and we're getting super pumped for His Dark Materials. Me and Kyle will be doing some expert deep dives on the book stuff and Lord, talking about angels and the authority and what happens in death and afterlife. It gets so good. It's so complicated. We're here for it. We'll see you on the next AsArt.